Hello and welcome to the WB Mason Coaches Report with Hofstra baseball coach John Russo. Coach, welcome to the show.
Thanks, Len, for having me.
Coming off a 2-2 weekend at Lamar to open the season. Of course, the big news coming out in a pitcher's series was the no-hitter thrown by Sheamus Brazils on Sunday to close out the series. The first no-hitter in Hofstra baseball history. Just first, your overall thoughts on Sheamus' performance and the whole euphoria that goes along with throwing a no-hitter.
Sheamus threw the no-hitter, and it was awesome, but I really believe it started Friday, Rooney coming out and setting the tone, Weiss throwing, then you have Weishire who has a very good game, and then you have Teddy Silas who follows him up, and then Brad throws well in there. And then it was almost like, who's up next to do it? And Sheamus took the ball there in that last game and, just continued on what I thought the whole pitching staff did the whole weekend. And, he threw strikes and got ahead in counts and thought, got a little tired in the fifth inning. But, if you ask the team, one guy who, continually worked hard and changed his body and his physique from last year, I think everybody across the board would agree with Sheamus. And, I think that extra effort and hard work was what allowed him to throw the sixth and seventh inning. And, I saw something that, the coach said that from Lamar that they weren't overmatched or whatever, but to be truthful, as pitching, you don't need to overmatch somebody. You need to be able to pitch. And, there's no rule that says, hey, you have to throw 90 to 92 miles an hour to throw a no-hitter. You have to be able to hit your spots. You have to be able to throw a breaking ball for a strike. You need to be able to throw a changeup for a strike behind in the count. And Sheamus Brazils, and to be honest, our whole pitching staff was able to do that. And, Sheamus, I think, was the right guy to be out there because he doesn't get too high or too low, and he has a great happy-go-lucky attitude. And it was just an incredible feeling. I think people have seen the end of the game feed now and then the bus, and I think it could carry us for a long time. But it was the first no-hitter I was a part of, first no-hitter for Wes and Brandon, my other two assistants. But of course, we get out to the huddle and we're talking about it, and I goes, "Hey, is that your first?" And he goes, "No, I think I threw a no-hitter in single A and double A, so he had to ruin the fun. But I thought Habes had a great weekend too, calling all the pitches and stuff. So it was outstanding.
So you mentioned the performance of the entire pitching staff coming out of the weekend with a 1.36 ERA, which ranks second in the nation right now behind St. John's. So you have to be, like as you said, you have to be pleased with the pitching performance. Do you think going in, did you think the pitching was ahead of the game going into the season where the offense, struggled a little bit, or was it a combination of Lamar pitching, field conditions, weather conditions, and so forth?
Well, I think if you would have asked us, and the true answer would have been, hey, which two games were we probably going to win? The games that Rooney and Silas, Matt Weishire and Weiss throw in, or the games that are started by Brad Camarada and Sheamus? I think everybody would have voted the first two, but we had thought, Brad threw really well down in the Dominican Republic, and Sheamus had been throwing well all preseason, and we thought, I guess as a staff, that we had a pretty depth pitching staff. The problem we thought going into the weekend was being 4 games, 36 innings. That's a lot of innings to cover, and I think Brad Camarada kind of started and helped out with that. He went 5 innings. He wasn't really planning to. Sheamus was planned to go 4 or 5. He went 7. I think the whole weekend got started with Rooney. Rooney, game 1, at another place is a tough place to do, and I think it takes a special person, character, to get that ball in, Friday night, game 1, and I think we have lucky enough to have 2 starters in that aspect, and Silas and Rooney that can do that, and he really set the tone right from the beginning. And I know Chris Weiss got the tough luck loss, but it was 2 seeing eye singles between short and third, and then Matty Weiss, he threw really well the last 3 weekends of last season, and then he had a great summer, and he didn't have a no-hitter, but he was carving out there, and he actually went an extra inning, and I think he was 70 pitches through 5 innings, and they pounded the strike zone with multiple pitches. They had a lot of confidence to work both halves of the plate, and I think if you asked John Habian what his goal with this pitching staff was, it'd be exactly what they turned out this weekend.
Looking at the offense, not a lot of runs scored, but Vito Fresia, 429 on the weekend, 6 hits. Parker Quinn, had 3 hits, cut double, and RBI. What just going into the season? I know you talked about last week about the lineup still being in flux, and after 4 games now, do you have a better feel of what you have and what you're going to put out there on a week-to-week basis?
Yeah, listen, let's be super honest. The wind was blowing in at a 20-mile-an-hour clip, and it was dead in the face. And we had trouble hitting a home. I don't know if we even did hit a home run in BP on Thursday, Friday, Saturday. So it really was a tough mental batter for the offense. Matter of fact, I got 2 coaches in the office. Habian, who's trying to find fields facing in a south direction off of an ocean, and I got Wessinger finding fields that won't have the wind blowing in for our scheduling purposes. And long story short, Vito, I thought, set the tone. I thought Mikey Reisner really swung the bats well. I was super proud of Parker to step in there and come up big in his the second game of the season, and right in the 4-hole, and had 2 big hits. And Rob Weishire had huge hits after having a little bit of rough start, but he walks off the bench in the 9th inning and hits a single, and then a huge double in the 10th inning. I thought Teddy Sillis hit a ball there that would have been on top of our rec center out at Hofstra Field, and their center fielder made a great catch. It would have been a grand slam. Would have been up 4-0. Even somebody hidden like Vinny Costello. It looks like on paper he strikes out 4 or 5 times or 5 or 6 times, whatever it is, but he could have had a home run down the left field line that got blown foul. He could have had a double to left center that got hung up, and so the one thing I liked more than anything, I believe, is they play on that field every day. Lamar does, and they know what the circumstances are in the wind and their swing, but it felt like they gave in more to the conditions than Hofstra baseball did, and I like the mental toughness. I mean, it's tough to go on the road and win, and we showed mental toughness. I mean, at one point we went 24 innings without scoring, yet we scored 2 in the 9th against a closer, throwing 94 miles an hour, who had shut us down the night before, throwing 94 to 97. So we showed a lot of resiliency, toughness. Super proud of where I think we can go with this, and I have 0 worries right now. I like that we had a lot of defensive offenses and makes a lot of plays. So we have a lot of options on the position player staff. We have a lot of options on the pitching staff. I mean, a hitting guy that showed up, and I didn't talk to him about it, is Zach Altieri. He closed 3 innings of that game. If we don't make an error or drop a ball in right field, Zach closes out that game in the first one 2-1. So we have a lot of good things that came out from this weekend. I think the DR was a big help of that to get us a big read of our club.
All right. Talked about being tough on the road. That's going to have to continue this weekend. Headed down to Norfolk, Virginia for a 3-game series against Norfolk State. Saturday doubleheader, Sunday single game. What are you telling your team to keep this momentum going into this weekend?
I think the one recipe for success we had right now is pitching and defense, and obviously want to get the offense going a little bit. Hopefully this weekend. We started looking into Norfolk some yesterday. We're going to look into them a little bit more today and tomorrow. Know that they're going to have 3 good starters on the weekend. I looked at it. They're logging 5-6 innings every start through 6 games to start the season, so it's going to be tough early on. I know their record doesn't show it, but a little bit of the scores I've been looking at is they've been giving up runs late, and so they've been in close games early. To be honest, that's kind of what we do. So it's going to be a tough matchup, and anytime you go on the road to play any opponent, it's tough, but to have a 3-game series, a doubleheader on Saturday, doubleheaders are hard to sweep, and so we got a tough task against us, but everything is leaning and gaining towards getting us ready.
All right, Coach, congratulations on a successful opening weekend, and good luck this weekend.
Thank you, Len.
You've been watching the WB Mason Coaches Report on GoHofstra.com.